Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit with the author's approval. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Heat. It's just atoms of an object vibrating rapidly. I want to see if I can induce that effect without flames. All I really have to do is add energy after all. I explained with my eyes closed, still focused on the shard. I pictured flowing mana into the broken bit of metal, and then causing the atoms of the shard to vibrate quicker and quicker until the metal started to glow. I imagined the atoms absorbing the energy of my mana into themselves. Then I heard, "Now how'd you do that?" And I opened my eyes and saw a red-hot shard of metal, almost beginning to melt on the floor. "I can't believe it worked," I said to myself just before some of the molten metal touched my leg of my trousers and caught on fire. "Ah!" I shouted and jumped. I thought for a moment about creating water to put out the fire, but before my brain had caught up with my plan, my body had already started swatting at my trousers, trying to punch the flames out. In an instant, but it felt much longer, I started stripping off my bottoms. Suddenly, I was hit with a huge splash of water that put out the small flame. I turned around and saw the blacksmith standing on top of the counter and a blue rune glowing behind him. "Ha ha 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 ha!" He cackled in a raspy old voice. "12 years I've had this rune here, and this is still the best investment I've ever made." I looked down at my half-burnt and drowned trousers laying on the ground and wondered to myself how I let that happen. Catch many things on fire, I wondered aloud and picked up my clothes from the ground. I glanced over and saw that the water had cooled off the metal too, as it was now also dripping wet. "I haven't in a while, but yes," he answered and fluttered back to the forging table. "Your garments seem to need repair," the blacksmith pointed out. I stuck a few fingers through the new hole burnt in the leg of the leg inside. "They're easy enough to replace, but it means I need to head home for a while." He nodded his head. "That's fine, I can give you a lesson in metalwork another time." "I'll call Suma and have her send me back. But before I do," I said, and I reached back into the pocket of my ruined jeans and pulled out a piece of paper. I sketched out some designs for the armor I wanted to order. I placed the paper on a nearby table and took a minute to explain everything I wanted and how best to do it. I expected him to be overwhelmed at the thought of making more gear for me, but instead he looked confused. "Jake, what is this material?" he asked. "Oh, you can just make it out of normal metal. It doesn't need to be anything special," I answered him. "No, I mean the strange drawings. What is the white stuff you drew on?" he asked. It took me a moment to realize. I have not even seen a scrap of paper in the entire world. I have been coming and going from this world for months, but I haven't so much as seen a torn shred of it floating in the breeze. It's called paper. On my world we use it to write stuff down," I said. "What is it made of?" he asked. Wood pulp, I think. Then it gets dissolved in acid, rinsed out, warmed out, then pressed and left out to dry." I explained what little I knew. "Wow! If you sold this, I bet you can make a lot. It's so much lighter than planks," he exclaimed. Planks? Right. I'd seen a few Niema carrying planks of thin wood around. I guess the nymphs haven't invented chemistry yet. "Nothing I'll pass for now, but maybe in one day," I said, and prepared to call Suma. "Suma, can you send me back home for a bit? I need to change clothes." "Okay, but I'll have to summon you first. Duck down," she said. I was a bit confused, but did it anyway. I said goodbye to the blacksmith and was summoned to an insanely cramped room. My head was touching the ceiling and my knees were on the ground. "What the? Where are we?" "We're in." Suma stopped and looked over me. "Jake, where are the rest of your garments?" "They were burned, so I need to go get new ones," I said. Suma laughed and said she understood, then told me I was currently in her parents' house. "No kidding. I would love to meet them," I told her. "Perhaps after you get dressed," she said, and sent me back. I reappeared back in my room and grabbed a spare set of clothes. I changed everything because I'd been wearing the same outfit for a few days now, just washing them with water magic at night. I looked at the time and then immediately did a double take when I realized what I saw. It was about lunchtime when I left, but my clock said that it was almost 2 a.m. and several days had passed. End of chapter. Chapter 38. "Perhaps after you get dressed," she said and sent me back. I reappeared back in my room and grabbed a spare set of clothes. I changed everything because I'd been wearing the same outfit for a few days now, just washing them with water magic at night. I looked at the time and immediately did a double take when I realized what I saw. It was about lunch when I left, but my clock said that it was almost 2 a.m. and that several days had passed. Oh, no, I whispered to myself and suddenly felt my phone start to vibrate over and over again. I pulled it out and saw message after message appear. I guess my phone's receiving all the messages I missed while I was gone, I thought to myself. By the time it finished receiving messages, over 10 minutes later, I had 27 missed calls and 100 text messages. The first thing I did was get in contact with Suma. Suma, did something happen? What? Did I send you back to the wrong place? She asked, confused. No, the wrong time. Remember how I said time doesn't pass or something when you summoned me? Well, this time it did. I left on a Friday, but according to my clock it's now Tuesday, I told her. Oh, well, I guess whatever was causing you to get stopped in time has worn off. I suppose that is a good thing, considering we don't know what was causing it in the first place, she said, looking on the bright side. Suma, you don't understand. I was in your world for days. That means for almost a week no one could contact me or knew where I was, I tried to explain. Is that unusual on your world? She asked. Yes, very. If someone goes missing unexpectedly for one day, we assume that they're kidnapped or killed. I've been gone for almost a week, I said urgently, and beginning to freak out even more than I really was. That's not good, Suma said, starting to understand. We talked for a few minutes more, and she did her best to calm me down as I panicked a bit. I could just picture my mum frantically crying into a police officer's chest over me. My stomach was in knots, and I started to get nauseated. I told Suma that I needed to take care of a few things and would contact her after everything was settled. Then I went to my bathroom and threw up. I sat on the floor of my bathroom, thanking my lucky stars that time seems to have at least moved to a 1-to-1 ratio while I was away, rather than something crazy like I was gone for months. Okay, I need to call my mum, I said to myself as I stood up. I turned on my phone and was reminded that it was 2 a.m. No, she'll be asleep. My mum doesn't wake up until 8 o'clock, so until then I unlocked my phone and started going through all 100 messages. Most were from family, but a large amount was from work too. Some of my co-workers and the rest of my boss. I was pretty tired, so I decided to try and get some sleep. But instead, I spent hours laying awake, thinking about what I was going to say to everyone. Hey guys, sorry I went away without telling you. I had to go help my friend fight a Drake and corrupt nobles. Oh, and by the way, my friend is a bird nymph who summons me to another world, and I've nubiously defined magic powers. Surprise! Boom! Straight into the crazy house. Maybe I could say I got kidnapped, I thought aloud. No, then an investigation would get opened up, and that lie would fall apart in a day with my luck. Hours of this went by until finally I passed out around 5 a.m. When I finally woke up, I didn't know how long I had slept for, but I knew it wasn't long enough. I woke up groggy and still slightly sick to my stomach when I realized it wasn't all just a bad dream. My clock, as stupidly bright as it could possibly be to my weary eyes, said that it was 10 a.m. I decided last night that a phone call wasn't going to make up for everything, so I would go to my mum's house as soon as I woke up. I got ready and left as quickly as I could. The drive there was slow and nerve-wracking. I still hadn't thought of convincing a lie, and I doubt that I could fool my mum anyways. She may believe me when it comes to friends she hadn't met like Suma, but disappearing for a few days is completely different. I pulled up to her house and parked the car. By the time I'd gotten out and started walking to the door, she had already heard me and checked to see who it was. Upon realizing it was me, she ran outside and hugged me, crying, "Where have you been?" She wailed and hugged my neck so tightly I actually started to see stars. "I'm sorry, Mum. I didn't really mean to be gone so long," I said sheepishly and hugged her back. We continued hugging for a moment while she sobbed. Finally, she let me go and asked again in a shaky tone, "Jake, where have you been?" I didn't know what to say. She would see right through a lie. Not that I had one anyway, and I couldn't tell her the truth because, wait, why couldn't I tell her the truth? I thought to myself. That's kind of hard to explain, but give me a minute to think, and I'll try, I said to her. I need to organize my thoughts. She looked at me funny, but agreed. I closed my eyes and pretended to think, but instead I called Suma. "Suma," I said in my head. I knew this method would work, as I had done it before. "Yes, Jake," she answered, sounding sleepy. Do you have anything against me telling my family about you?" There was a quiet for a moment, but she answered, "No, not that I can think of anyway." "Are you considering it?" "Yeah. Can you summon me and my mum?" I asked. "2 people, I mean, I could try," she said. "Please do." I asked her, and opened my eyes to see my mother, very concerned face. "Mum, something's about to happen. Don't freak out when it does." Then I hugged her neck. "Oh, well, why would you hugging me cause me to freak out, darling?" she said, and hugged me back. Then I felt that familiar feeling, like my legs started to fall asleep, and it moved up my body until it hit my arms and head. Then everything went dark. All while this was happening, Mum started to complain that she felt unwell, and she tried to pull away from me. But I only hugged her tighter. "Oh, Jake, I think you need to let me go. I'm starting to feel faint." Then I felt her hand let go of my back, and she started to scream, "Jake, my hand is gone!" With that, we reappeared in Suba's cave. End of chapter. This is a special thank you to the one, the only, the legendary Eric Hino, who has become the only Tier 6 patron. I just want to thank the T5 patrons and channel members: Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnolds, Estrella the Dreamer, Tryagain95, Fudic Yol, Meridian117, Alithia, Jordan Bucksborn, Angry Marine, Albarden Gusta, and Barkey. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.